Oh, I cut my hair and I'm kind of nervous because it's a little bit short. I really need to get used to it. Oh, hi guys, I'm Saucy, ex-Mixer streamer, new face here on Twitch, and technical wizard. Today I want to talk about the best bot on Twitch in 2020. Now, I'm sure there are hundreds of these videos, but this bot is new to Twitch in 2020 and blows all of the other bots out of water. Before we get into this, just a quick reminder that I do stream over on Twitch every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, link in the description below. If you'd like to come chat or even play some games together, I'm super into Red Dead Redemption 2 right now, then feel free to come drop by the stream. It would be awesome to meet you. Introducing your everything bot, Mix It Up. This bot's actually been on Mixer for a good couple of years. With the closure of Mixer, the devs worked amazingly fast to move this bot over to Twitch. Like stupidly fast, guys. It took like, I think 2 days to get this bot in preview mode. So GG devs, well done. So when Mixer decided to close, I decided to look into a bunch of bots to bridge the gap before Mix It Up came over to Twitch. Eventually concluded that the best Twitch bot that was available is Streamlabs' desktop version of chatbots. And the reason for this is that it gives you something that a lot of bots don't, which is sound commands. Mix It Up bot is basically like Streamlabs chatbot, but on steroids. By the way, guys, there is a link in the description to download this bot if you haven't done so already. Also, the bot is now out of preview mode, which does mean that there are going to be less bugs for you guys. So let me walk you through what this bot can do for you. The Mix It Up bot is your everything bot because it can do pretty much everything. It's also integrated with all of your favorite stream services. When you first install the bot, I would start by going into services and then connecting all of your accounts. Now, the first thing that you really want to be connecting is your overlay. So if you just copy out this URL here, it'll open up in Chrome. Then we just need to copy that out. And then we need to bring over OBS, create a new browser source layer, call it Mix It Up. I like to set this as full screen, guys. So mine is 1920 times 1080. Now that the overlay is in, most of the other services are just going to ask you to sign into your account, like Streamlabs or Stream Elements. However, there are some services that connect in a little bit of a quirky way, like Discord, which requires a Discord bot. But if you expand the section, it'll explain to you how to connect that to your Mix It Up. Now that you have all your services connected, let's have a look at commands. You just click on the little hamburger menu on the left-hand side and then hit commands, and then we'll just create a new command. Now, we want to be creating an advanced command because this gives us the most options. Just like chatbot, you can choose whether or not you want to include an exclamation mark in your command. But also what you can do is you can have multiple word triggers. So if I wanted this to trigger with test, or I wanted this to trigger with test2, I would just add a semicolon in between those different chat triggers. There are also some usage requirements on commands if you want to restrict who can use commands. So you could lock your command to a role. So for example, we could lock this to subscriber. We can also lock it to a tier on subscriber as well. So tier 1, 2, or 3. In addition, we can also add a currency requirement. We're going to talk about currency later on. My main currency is eggplants. So I could set this as a currency cost of like 100 eggplants, for example. You could also set a rank requirement. Again, we'll talk about creating ranks later on. I have 3 different ranks here. So I just set that for baby eggplants. There is also an inventory requirement. Now, inventory items come under, again, currencies and ranks, so we will talk about that later on. But I could have it so that you need a VIP inventory item, which is a VIP pass, and you just need one of those to be able to run the command. In addition to your usage requirements, you can also add a cooldown. Individual cooldown is a cooldown just for this command. Per person is a cooldown for this command for an individual person. And then group cooldowns are where we create group names. So I have a subgroup here where I link all my subcommands together, which all have a cooldown of 300 seconds on them. There is also an option for required users. So if you wanted 3 users, say, to run this command before it actually goes forward, then you can set that in here as well. Just to note here as well, guys, that you can put your command into a command group. The benefit of this is just organization inside of Mix It Up bot, because once you've started creating a lot of commands, you will find find that it is going to be useful to have command group. You also do need to give your command a name. I'm just going to call this test for now. Okay, so let's add some actions to our command. So starting right at the top, we have basic chat messages. So this is basically like any other bot. It's just basic chat commands, with the exception that you can also send a streamer. So if you wanted it to come from your account rather than the bot account, you could send it from yourself. Now this link here is the special identifiers reference. Let me just show you that over on Chrome. So this basically is your mix it up Bible. These are all your identifiers that you're going to need. Now it's a little bit overwhelming at first. I'm going to pop a link down to this in the description, guys, because you are going to need this if you are using Mix It Up Bot. In addition to chat messages, we can also trigger clips. The default clip length is 30 seconds. You also have the option to include a delay and also show the clip information in chat. Moving on, we can also add a command within a command section. So the main things that I do with this are run a command or disable a command, but you can also do things with command groups as well. So if I wanted to run one of my existing commands, we'll just go for chat for now. I would select it from there, and then I would just select it from there as well. Now you can add command arguments in here too, but we don't really need to worry about that too much just for now. Moving on to conditionals. Now conditionals are very good, but also a little bit complicated if you've not worked with conditions before. I use conditionals a lot, and if you guys have seen my recent bitrate video, you will have seen quite a lot of conditions in that command. What conditions do is they use special identifiers, which are in the Mix It Up wiki, the Bible that I showed you earlier, in order to pull certain responses. Now the responses can be a command, it could be an action group, and an action group in summary is a command without a chat trigger. It's like a behind the scenes command, or they can trigger a single action. So for example, a single chat message. Let me show you the first condition on my bit alert as an example. What this first condition does is it looks at bits amount. Now bits amount is the amount of bits that have been cheered, and this is in a event, as you can see here. So this pops up when someone cheers bits in my channel. So if bits amount, so amount of bits cheered, is less than 100, then we run an action group, and we run this action group, which is bits less than 100, and that pulls up my small bits alert. Conditions really are amazing and can let you do so much stuff. So I do strongly recommend learning how to use these. Start off with some simpler conditions until you get your head around things, and then you can move on to the more complicated conditions. Next on our commands list is counter. Now I use this for my wasted channel points reward. So when someone hits wasted on the channel points, it counts the number of times that I have died during that stream. So this is my wasted commands. As you can see, we have the counter action in here. I do also save this to file. What you can do with save to file is you can go over to OBS and then read from text file if you wanted the number to be on screen. I also have reset on load. So that means when I reboot the bot, it resets this number. Counter name is literally just an identifier name that you are giving to your counter. And then the action, you can do various different things with this. I just set it to update because I want it to update the number, and I set it to update by 1. Then I have a chat message that just tells people how many times I've died in that stream. Now to pull through the number, all we have to do is put a little $sign at the front of the identifier that we created earlier. Currency rank inventory lets you add or subtract currency rank and inventory items to users. We'll talk about currency rank and inventory later on. Moving on, the next action is Discord. Now again, you are going to need to enable the Discord bot in order for this to work. Now, there are only 3 different actions that you can use. The most useful one is send message. This is something that I have in my stream when my stream starts. What I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to include my Discord gone live shout out from Mix It Up bot that you guys can use. And shout out to my friend Too Large to Float, who actually created this command for me. Next action on the list is external program. What external program will do is open up a program for you. Now I would normally only use external program if there was an application that I wanted to use control keys to control, and that application needed to be active in order for me to actually use the control keys. So I actually had to do this a little while ago with Snapcam, which had to be active in order for me to be able to use the control keys. I'll read and write. So this is going to read from or write to a text file that you specify. So what you can actually use this for, guys, is you can use it instead of Streamlabs labels. Against channel followed, you would just add in an advanced command, and then you would add in a file read and write. And then you would add in save to file so that it's the only file in there. Then you'd need to pop your file path in there. And then the text to save would be username because that's the person who's followed the channel. The next item on the list is game queue. A game queue can obviously be used just as a method of queuing people up who want to play games. There are a whole load of other applications for this as well. For example, I use this for my draw channel points reward. So when someone redeems draw in channel points, and it adds them to the game queue list. And I have my game queue list up on my stream just so that I can see who is in it so I don't miss anyone who has redeemed that reward. Next item on the list is IFTTT. Now, IFTTT stands for if this, then that. Now, IFTTT is actually a separate website that links together different services. The most common application with IFTTT and Mix It Up Bot is actually to control smart lights, because IFTTT can control a whole array of smart lights, all the way from Philips Hue bulbs to LifeX lights. So IFTTT and Mix It Up Bot is kind of complicated. It works with webhooks. So if you guys would like a full video on this, please do let me know down in the comments. Next item on the list is input keyboard and mouse. Input keyboard and mouse is honestly one of my favorite features of Mix It Up Bot. Basically what this does is it emulates control keys on your computer. And the way that I use this is I use this for controlling my music. So what I actually have here in my bot is 3 different music actions. So I have one for Spotify pause play, and these actually work for Spotify and for Pretzel Rocks because I set up the same control keys on each application. I have one for Spotify previous, which again works the same on Pretzel, and the one for Spotify skip. So to get this to actually work with Spotify, you are going to need to install an application called Toastify. If you're just using Pretzel, then Pretzel has built-in control keys. So essentially what you need to do is create the control keys over in the music application and then create a input action. So for this one, I have keyboard, up arrow, press, and then Control and Alt held at the same time, and that will pause and then play my Spotify or Pretzel, depending on which application that I have open. The next item on the list is mod actions. Now, mod actions will let you do all of the basic stuff like banning users, timing out users, that kind of stuff. The Mix It Up does also have its own strike system, so you can set a reaction for 1 strike, reaction for 2 strikes, and a reaction for 3 strikes. The most common thing that I do with my moderation action is use it to add a moderation strike. It's also very important to note in here that Mix It Up Bot will let you VIP a user, which is something you can't actually get a mod to do from inside of Twitch at the moment. So this is pretty big news that we can actually get that to work from in here. The next item on the list is overlay images and videos. Now, this is something that I use a lot. Basically what this does is it allows you to play GIFs or images or text or videos on stream. You can even use HTML. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to include my shout out command. Now this includes a shout out overlay which has text in it and HTML in it, just so that you guys can see what can be done with overlays. My tip with creating overlays though, guys, is to always make sure your overlay that is inside of your streaming software, whether that's OBS or Slobs or whatever, you make sure that that is full screen size, as this really makes it easier to position elements on an overlay. If you're adding an image or a GIF, go into image properties, details, to see the width and height of your image. Now, what I normally do if the width and height of this image is too big is I divide it by 2 or 3 or even further, just to make sure that that image is coming through but not skewed, because you are going to need to manually set the width and height in here. Something which you can actually also do with overlays, guys, is you can create a new Mix It Up overlay layer like I've done here. And then you can add a chroma key filter to it, just in case you wanted to use any videos with a chroma backscreen. To add a new Mix It Up layer, you just need to go into settings and then overlays, and then right down at the bottom, you just give it a name, add, and then you just add that into Mix It Up as a new browser source. I'm going to skip over Overstream and Serial just because those are two services that I've never used myself before. Sound is exactly the same as Streamlabs chatbot. You just select the sound action, browse over to your sound, and then you can set the volume in here as well. There is also an option to set it to a different output if you're not happy with it being on the default output that you've set for your Mix It Up bot. Special identifier is a little bit more of an advanced command. So this lets you create an identifier of your own. I actually use this myself for my raid call. So what I do is I have created an identifier here called raid target, and that is created from argument 1 username. So I would type the command in !raid call at username, and then that would produce raid target. And then over in my credits, right at the bottom there, we have raid target in there. So when the credits are scrolling through, it will say, get ready to raid target, and that will pull through the raid target's name. Important thing with using special identifiers is that if you want to use the identifier outside of this one command, you need to make sure that you are toggling make globally usable. What this means is that you need to make sure that the name that you are giving your identifier isn't the same as an identifier that already exists, because that can really confuse it. Streaming platform just lets you run a couple of Twitch options like host a channel, raid a channel, or run an ad. Streaming software is really useful. This links over to your streaming software. So for me, this is OBS Studio. And what you can do from here is you can switch scenes, and most interestingly, you can mess with source visibility. Now, this is how I control my cam on and off commands. And this is also how my triple cam action works as well. It hides my small cam box and shows, and then hides 3 different cam scenes on top of my current scene. Streamlabs, if you've connected your Streamlabs account, will let you spin the wheel, empty the jar, or roll credits. But I do recommend using Mix It Up credits over Streamlabs credits. Text to speech is one of my absolute favorite features of Mix It Up, but I recommend using this with special identifiers because then it can call out people's names. There's lots of different voices on here that you can select in lots of different languages. What I'm going to do for you guys is I'm going to include my TTS command. Now, I have this in my channel set to sub only, and I think it's a really nice sub only perk. So what this command does is just !TTS, and then the person puts in the TTS that they want to show at the end of the command, and it will read that out in text to speech, and then it'll also show a little avatar and a little speech bubble with the text in there as well. So that's going to be in the description for free for you to download. Moving on to Twitter. Now, this again is something that you're going to need to be enabling in services. So what Mix It Up can do is it can send a tweet or it can update names. So send tweet is the one that you're most likely to use. Moving down the list, the next item is wait. Now, wait is actually one of the most useful actions in Mix It Up bot. So what this does is it stops all of your different command elements running at once and on top of each other. What I would recommend though, guys, if you are going to use a wait, is toggling on unlock command. So what unlock command actually does is it enables other commands to run at the same time as this command. So if you've got a particularly long command, lots and lots of waits in it, you need to be unlocking that. Otherwise, other commands are going to queue behind that command until it's finished. The final action on this list that I wanted to go through is web request. Web request is probably most useful, but also the most complicated action on Mix It Up bar. Basically, what web request does is it lets you integrate with APIs of different websites. They also use this in my channel for a GIF command. So you do !GIF, and then you do a search term after that GIF, and then it will play the GIF on stream. I didn't actually make this command myself. I actually downloaded it from the Mix It Up store, but unfortunately at the moment the store is closed, so I'm not able to check who it was that created the command. I am going to export the command for you. I am going to let you use it in your channel. If you are the person that created this GIF command using the Giphy API, please let me know who you are so I can credit you in this video. Okay, so that's literally everything that you can do in commands. Now, everything that I've just shown you there can also be added to action groups, which are, again, like commands, they just don't have the chat trigger. So they're behind the scenes commands, basically. They can also be added to events. So events are anything happening in your channel, like someone hosting, someone following, someone tipping. And all of these can also be added into channel points as well, which we are going to talk about in a second. I just wanted to take a brief look over at action groups. As I just said, these basically work in exactly the same way as commands, with one difference, which I'm going to show you. So this is my spin action group. And the way that this works is I have multiple different action groups, which I then run. We looked at run command earlier inside of this action group. And the reason why we have to do it like this is because of this toggle here, which is run one randomly. So basically, every time someone uses exclamation mark spin, it will show a wheel animation, and then based on where the wheel lands, it will give them either eggplants or a Streamloots card or a shout out or a free name on face, depending on where it lands. Next, I wanted to have a quick look with you guys at events. So if you've not already set up commands in events, which you won't have done if you're new to this bot, you can see here, if you've not already got an existing command, it's as simple as add command. Then you just want to select advanced command, and then we're just in the same menu that we were in earlier. So we can add any of these different actions. Just to note here on the events, guys, there are some of these that do have a very, very short delay. It says it's a minute, but this really is up to 1 minute, because I believe that every minute is how often that they query. So Twitch channel stream start has a 1 minute delay, but again, that's much quicker with the Discord bot at least at announcing than other similar bots are. Channel followed is a bit unfortunate that it has a 1 minute delay, and then most of your donation services as well. Just want to briefly show you guys the users section. So this is actually where you add in user specific commands. So commands that can only be run by an individual rather than everybody. So to add a command to a user, you just need to search for the name in here. I'm going to use Chuggies as an example. Then hit this little edit box here, expand it out. And then we can see here that Chuggies already has a custom command. He has a shopping cart command. You can also add a new command in here. And again, that just opens the menu that we saw earlier. So we have all of these different options that we can include in Chuggies custom command. What this means is that you are no longer restricted to just sound alerts for subs. Moving on to currency, rank, and inventory. Now, these are three different systems. So currency can be used for chat games or for commands if you put a currency requirement on there. Rank is something that you gain as you level up in chat based on hours or even minutes spent in chat. And inventory is MixerUp's virtual shop. So you create a shop and then you create virtual inventory items within that. So let's start off with a currency. So you'll see when you've popped this open, it'll have this toggle set to is primary. So I would just stick with that if it's going to be your first currency that you've created. Then you need to give the currency a name, decide how many of that currency you're going to give people just for sitting in your chat, and whether or not you want to give it to people if they're in your chat when you're offline as well. You can also add role bonuses, so regular, sub, and mod bonus. So if you're giving, say, 1 per minute to a normal follower, you might want to give 2 per minute to a sub. You can also reset your currency in here if you ever need to do that. I personally just have that set to never, because I don't like people to lose their currency. Once you've actually created your currency and hit save, it's going to ask you if you want to create all these other different commands. So what these commands are is commands to show currency, to add to user, to add to all chat users, and to give. So giving is where it takes your currency and then gives it to someone else. So I would just hit yes to this, because it's going to make your life a little bit easier when you are creating currencies, because you don't have to create a command as well. If we want to create a rank system, it is the same process, but we just need to toggle on is rank system. Then acquire rate, I have mine set to 1 per hour, and then I have 3 different ranks based on that. So rank 1 would be a minimum point of 0. Rank 2 I have myself set to 20 hours, and then rank 3 it would be for me 100 hours. Once that is complete, just hit save, and again it's going to ask if you want to create rank commands. If you just hit yes, That again is going to make your life a lot easier. What I do also have in my channel is hidden currencies. So this currency here, bits currency, I actually use to keep track of how many bits individual people have spent in my chat. Every time someone spends 1 bit, they actually get 1 of this currency. So this really does enable the bot to keep track of how many bits individual users are spending. Mixitup does also have a shop system, which is add inventory item. I actually used to use this over on Mixer for VIP passes. So I would have a command where someone could buy a VIP pass for 2,000 eggplants, which is my currency. And then if they had that VIP pass, they would then be able to use certain commands that required a VIP pass. Moving on to channel points. Now Mixitup really has revolutionized channel points, because up until now, there is no solution that I am aware of that would let you have overlays and alerts when a channel point is redeemed. To set up channel points with Mixitup, the first thing that you need to do is create your channel points inside of Twitch. So we'll use this suggestive eggplant as an example. I've created a reward name, description, and put my little emotes in there and my background color. And the next thing that you need to do is copy out this reward name. Now, for this to work in your Mixitup bot, it needs to be word for word. So if I had a space on the end of this, or the case was different or anything like that, it's not going to work with Mixitup bot. So next I need to open up Mixitup, go into channel points, add a command, advanced command, and then paste that into there. I'd also again recommend unlocking command just so that other stuff can run over the top, especially if it's a particularly long command. Then I have the option to add in all of the stuff that we looked at before inside of commands. Once your reward has been set up, I've already got that set up, you just save it down here at the bottom. And then what I would recommend is jumping over to your creator dashboard and just redeeming that reward just to make sure that it is working. And if it's not working, guys, guaranteed you've got that name wrong. So just make sure that that name is identical. Moving on to overlay widgets. Now, overlay widgets are actually one of my favorite things on Mixitup bot, and they are actually how I get my nice looking sub goals and bit goals rather than the kind of clunky Streamlabs style goals that you're used to. Overlay widgets are always on screen unless you hide them. So what I would recommend is setting up another overlay and Mixitup if you're not happy to have them on your default overlay at all times. So there are an absolute ton of overlay widgets, and honestly, overlay widgets really should be a video in itself. If you guys would like me to make this into a full video, please do let me know down in the comments. So some of my absolute favorite overlay widgets working from the top are chat messages, end credits, goal progress bars. So that's how I do my sub goal, my big goal, that kind of stuff. HTML. Now HTML is really simple. It just gives you a box to add HTML into. I actually use that instead of labels for my top tipper and my cheer champion, just so that I can get that glitch effect. Another thing that I use often on overlay widgets is timers. Now I use these especially for manual activities. What this ends up looking like is this.
One-handed mode activated.
Moving on to games. Now games are pretty self-explanatory. All you need to do is hit new game. Then there's a selection of different games for you to choose from. I'm just going to select beach ball as an example. You will also find that if you can see these little boxes here that give you the edit option, you can actually add in any command action in here. Quotes are another thing that's pretty self-explanatory. You just need to toggle enable on here. I'm pretty sure once you actually toggle that, it will create a add quote command for you as well. It's been a long time since I actually set this up, so I'm not 100% sure. You can also manually add a quote in here if you'd like to, or export your quotes if you are moving to a different bot for some reason. The very last feature that I would just like to touch on is the Stream Deck Mixitup integration. So I already have this installed, but obviously if you don't, if you just go into more actions and then just search for Mixitup will appear there. Now there will be an install. What you can do with this is you can actually get Mixitup to run a command or an action group or an event, a game or a timer straight from your Stream Deck. Finally, guys, to use the commands that I'm going to give away to you today, you need to go into commands and then create a new command, advanced command, import actions to file, Then browse to the command that you want to import. All the links are going to be in the description. You just need to go over to the Dropbox, then download those to your computer. I'm just going to import this random command for now. You can see that it puts all of the actions into here for you. Now you're going to need to obviously create a name, a chat trigger, and if you want any of these usage requirements, you can add them in here. For the Discord commands that I'm going to give you, you are going to need to add that into events if you want that to trigger on its own instead of manually. And then you want to go to the Twitch channel stream start events. And then if you've not already got a command in here, obviously it'll have add command. Then it's the same process. Import actions to file, import the command, and the command should just literally be one thing on its own, which is this action here, Discord, send message. You want to be selecting your channel because obviously your channel is going to be different to mine. And that is all of my favorite and most used features of Mix It Up Bot compressed into one potentially very long video. Hope that you guys found this video useful, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and to be the first to be notified of new Mix It Up videos. If you have any questions, guys, do feel free to stop by my stream. I stream every Friday, Saturday and Sunday over on Twitch. Link in the description. We always do start off in just chatting, and as always, guys, successful streaming. Oh god, I just nearly swallowed some of my own hair. That would have been tragic. I don't want to choke to death on the stream. I'm alright, so. Oh snap! Yeah, now I've killed you. I was reading the chat. Sorry, I was reading the chat. Oh my god, I actually did kill you. I'm sorry, Danny. I'm sorry.